Welcome to the Performance Enhancing Podcast. It's like steroids for your brain. A podcast for people looking to live life at their peak potential. Chock full of real-world tools and knowledge that you can apply in your life today. By providing you with a lens into the lives, beliefs, practices, and actions of those who are already living extraordinary lives, the Performance Enhancing Podcast will help you shift your mindset or create that change in your daily rituals and habits so you can explode with success in the areas of life that are most important to you. So get ready for another dose of Performance Enhancing Podcast with SatoriPrime. Here's your host, Ilan Ferdman.
Hello, my friend, and welcome back to the Performance Enhancing Podcast with your host, Ilan Ferdman. And we're back for part two with Steve Olsher, a man full of wisdom, a serial entrepreneur who speaks from experience, and just absolutely loved this interview with him. So in part two, we're going to look at the 4 stages of learning by a guy named Dr. Thomas Gordon. We're going to look at creating your ultimate objective and how it's much simpler than you're making it out to be. How education is basically failing us. It's teaching us reading, writing, arithmetic, but not really how to excel in life using our God-given gifts. And the importance of knowing your gift and how paramount that is. Something that obviously runs a thread through this whole interview. But, you know, whether it's Steve or us here at SatoriPrime, that's what we're out to unlock. We're here to unlock and show you and help you discover your passion and your talents and then monetize them, right? He says this unbelievable line somewhere in here where he says, there is someone out there right now praying for you to show up to help them solve their problem. And when you show up, they will go from praying to paying. And I thought that was really, really clever. So I hope you enjoy part 2 of my interview with Steve Olsher. Let's get right to it. Yeah, I mean, I found that the closer you get to that mark, the universe, God, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, starts sending you signals that you're on the right path. Like life starts working in synchronicity. The right person comes into your life, the right opportunity, a book will come across your desk. Someone will send you a podcast. You know, something's going to happen where you're going to have this holy shit moment of, I just created this, and all of a sudden this is showing up on my desk.
Yeah, and I'm actually gonna fight with you just a little bit on that one because I don't think it's a matter of it coming into your life. I think it's really just simply a matter of, you know, you've turned on the light switch.
Yeah.
Right. And so now you're just aware of it. And it's like part of in the first section of the book, I take people through Dr. Thomas Gordon's 4 stages of learning. Do you know that?
I don't.
Okay, so it's what he calls the conscious competence learning stages model.
Okay.
And basically, are you familiar with landmark education?
Very.
Okay, so you know they bit off of Dr. Thomas Gordon with their whole, you know, you don't know what you don't know kind of stuff, and you know, light bulb and that kind of stuff. But basically, what they did was they took his model. They'll never, you know, Earhart will never admit it. But what they did is they took his model. And in stage 1 of that model is what's known as unconscious incompetence. And basically,
okay.
Yeah, right. So in that first stage, it's that you don't know what you don't know because, you know, the light bulb is, you know, the light switch is off, right?
Yeah.
So when you then shift to the second stage, which is conscious incompetence, you're now familiar with what you don't know and you're aware of the fact that you don't know it. So really what you're describing to me kind of puts you into stage 2 of those 4 stages of learning.
I got you. Yeah. I think also there's something that happens in the brain, which is almost like when you are shopping for a certain car and then all of a sudden that's the car you see all over the road, whereas before you didn't even see it.
Yeah. And some people, I mean, they'll argue that's the law of attraction. You know, people will say you're vibrating on a different level. And, you know, I mean, obviously it just depends on who you talk to. Everybody's got, you know, a term for it. And, you know, frankly, I don't care what you call it. It's the awareness that matters.
Exactly. And that you took the words out of my mouth. It's almost like that, or if a friend, this happens all the time. Friends around you will tell you the same thing, like over and over and over and over and over and over. And yet you'll have a conversation with someone else And just because you're ready, your awareness is there to hear that thing, you'll finally, for the first time, hear it, even though hundreds of people could have said the same thing to you.
Yeah.
I think
my wife gets very mad at me when that happens, by the way, because she'll tell me something, like 10 years ago, and then someone else will tell it to me 10 years later, and, or whatever. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, you know what I learned today, honey? She'll be like, okay, smack, because I told you that, 10 years ago or whatever. But, it's kind of like, have you ever had the experience where you go into like a closet and you look for something and you can't find it no matter what you do? And, it's really just a matter of, opening up your eyes and then gaining clarity on the fact that this is what you're looking for. And you go back. But I mean, like literally you could be in that closet looking and looking and looking and not see it. Yeah. And then 10 minutes later, you can go back in and it's right there.
Yeah. It usually happens the other way around though with my wife, where I'll like open the fridge and I'm like, it's not in there. And then she walks and it's like literally right in front of my eyes. She goes, it's right there. I'm like,
yeah.
How does that even happen?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
As a married man, you probably witnessed that before too.
Yeah, a few times.
So people go through this process, figure out their what. What do you then tell them is kind of that next step? Because for me, I think when that light bulb went on or when I flicked that switch on, it became quite clear to me what my next steps were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I then also wish that someone was there guiding me and being like, well, if you want to get this going on faster, I would recommend doing this, this, and this. So is there some process or something you recommend people do?
Yeah, I don't even have a fancy word for that I can throw at it. I simply call it the transition, right? Which is you've just got to be willing to enter into the transition and be willing, for it to be a patient but steady transition, right? Because, we live in this instant gratification society and, we want what we want when we want it and we want it now. So, very few people will be able to live out their what on a daily basis because they give up, because shit gets hard, I mean, that's just the reality. And so what I do, so I teach something called the Reinvention Workshop. In the Reinvention Workshop, after we figure out what your what is, we basically create what I call the ultimate objective, which is you design whatever that objective is, whatever that goal is that you want to achieve. Now, this isn't like a lifelong objective. This is just one thing. Like if you wanted to, help someone do X, Y, or Z, then the ultimate objective is helping someone do X, Y, Z, right? And then what we do is we break it down into baby steps working backwards till today.
Yeah.
And what people find is that often it's no more than 10 to 20 steps. It's not, a million steps. It's about 10 to 20. Some of those steps will take longer than others. But the most important thing is identifying that first step on that path and just getting started, right? Mm-hmm. Because, it's a domino effect at that point. And the only one who will stop you is you at that, once you make the commitment to getting to that ultimate objective and what the steps are to do it. I mean, and, frankly, you can get off path too, and you can forget about it for years and you can pick right back up and go, this is where I left off.
Yeah. I also think though it's tough for someone to, once you found that, it's tough to lie to yourself any longer and just pursue the bullshit life that you kind of been living because you kind of already know what you need to be doing. And if you don't do it, you just go to bed feeling not so great about yourself.
Yeah. And it happens all the time where, it's the exact same reason why, you can look at the employee polls, right? And the amount of dissatisfaction in the workplace. It's because we make compromises. And that's, look, like I said, you can always go back to pumping gas and sometimes you just do the shit you got to do. But, at the same token, once you are clear and frankly, it then becomes a combination of the what and the why, right? So now you've got both beaten at you. Yeah. And so it's like, and it'll come out in funky ways, man. I believe that like when you bury that within, That's why people overeat. I think that's why
Yep.
disease comes to the surface, and you can't bury that for too long without it doing something to affect you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, do you find, and this is just kind of from coaching people, I'm just trying to think as we do this, do you find that people are just unaware that they have the ability to live a life of what and why, and have just bought into the bullshit system that you have to do this, this, and this, and have just kind of squelched it and think that it's not possible?
Yeah, I mean, and it's a great point, because ultimately, when you look at our education system, I mean, I'm not going to say it sets us up to fail, because it does teach us how to read and write and do arithmetic, but it doesn't really teach us how to excel. I mean, it doesn't really teach us how to get paid extraordinarily well doing what it is that comes most naturally to you, because ultimately, I believe that you do not have to succumb to life as a starving artist simply because you're compelled to draw, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all you got to do is look at folks like the athletes, right? I mean, obviously they're very few and far between, but these guys are masters of their craft and they get paid exceptionally well. And I don't see any reason whatsoever why you should ever have to apologize for earning and taking and receiving what the market will bear. And if money's not your bag, then take it in and give it away. Support your favorite charity. Do whatever, build a house in Uganda. I don't know, whatever it is that you want to do. But realistically, we and you're seeing the shift. I mean, I think it's quite
Definitely.
clear that the shift is alive and well. You started to see that with sort of the whole remote working mentality, where you don't need to be physically in the same place as your counterparts in order to create a successful endeavor. And I think that's kind of opened some people's eyes to the notion that I can live differently than how my parents lived, and I can live differently than how even people who are 10 years older than me have lived. And so I do think that whole conversation has really taken things to a level that's incredibly positive, because they're seeing more and more people design the life that they want to live and go out and do it.
Yeah. And I actually find that this is happening more and more with ultra successful people who are in investment banking or Wall Street or attorneys or even doctors, where I think they're waking up at some point and going, is this really all there fucking is? And am I really wanting to do this for the next 15, 20, 30 years? And those are the people that we tend to work with a lot, because they have the resources, they have a great skill set. They're just realizing that they're grinding, and this grind is not ever slowing down. If anything, it's picking up and getting worse and worse.
Yeah, I call it the golden shift. And it's really about, in my way of thinking, about shifting from prominence to relevance. And it's that I've made money, and that's all fucking well and good, but what sort of impact am I having on anyone outside of me and those closest to me?
Yeah.
And so you've established a certain degree of prominence, but you have no relevance.
Interesting. Yeah, I think those are the people that are searching. Those are the people that are, going to Landmark and reading these kind of books and just trying to figure out what's next and how they can, in your words, gain more relevance. I'm curious, because you were mentioning when you were writing this, as you said, you write the book that you most need. It seems to me like you kind of knew who you were and what your what is. I'm just curious, as you were writing this process, for you personally, what kind of insight did you gain, and how did that make a shift in your life?
Yeah, it's a great question, because if I'm being completely transparent and authentic, and if you know anything about me, that's the only way I really am. I will sit here and I will answer this point blank, which is, I think I'm still trying to figure it out, But I think part of what I've figured out is that your core gift is static. It is going to be the same from the day you are born till the day you die. But the vehicle that you use to share that gift with the world and the people that you're most compelled to serve, those are more organic. Those are more fluid.
Yeah.
And those can and will change over time.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately it has become a matter of embracing the notion that I have a specific gift and that how I will share that gift and the people I will share that gift with is going to be consistently and constantly evolving.
So do you ask yourself, because this is something that my brother and I do quite often, when you're going to take on new ventures, do you check in and say, is this aligned with, in your words, your what, and also your why?
You know, it's the answer is sometimes. You know, I did real estate development for 16 years and it did over $50 million in transactional. We did a lot of stuff over those years. And long story short, if I were to die, you know, people weren't going to be lining up to say, you know, we're so sorry he's gone. They would just want to know like where to send their next month's rent. You know what I mean? So there was the reality of knowing that I'm not impacting lives by creating a straw that provides fresh drinking water out of, you know, sewage. You know, I mean, it's like, this was just a commodity.
Yeah.
And there are commodity driven opportunities that at one point I would tell you that pursuing commodity driven opportunities is basically just drilling a hole into your being. But I'm more comfortable with the notion now that we need those commodity driven opportunities in order to be able to do the other things that we truly want to do on more of a philanthropic level, right?
Yeah.
And so you have the philanthropic endeavors where it's the give back, but then you also have the sort of the money making opportunities that you do because the opportunity exists and you have a chance to put some serious dough in your pocket that will empower you down the line to take on some of the other endeavors that are more philanthropic in nature.
Yeah, I always have this thing that I talk about, which is if your intentions are good and you're actually trying to make a difference, your why is, you know, to give water to people in Africa or something like that, then money is better in your hands than it is in the majority of other people's hands who are going to use it to buy bullshit and spend it on nonsense. And so I completely agree with you. If you have opportunities to funnel some of that energy towards you so that you can disperse it into other places and actually do good with it, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, because, you know, if you want to drive a Bugatti, you know, and you have the wherewithal to do it,
do it.
Do it. You know, I mean, you should never apologize for accepting what the market will bear.
Yeah.
And before we hit record on this, I mean, I was telling you about a technology opportunity that I'm pursuing. I mean, I still own liquor.com, and that's based out of San Francisco. I'm in Southern California. And that'll do its thing. You know, is it improving the world in any great way? Teaching people, you know, how to drink, what to drink, where to drink? Not so much, you know, but is it something that we'll exit from and make some good money on? Yeah. I mean, I think that'll happen. And then I'm looking at, you know, developing a piece of technology in the real estate space that basically answers the core question of where should I invest? And is that going to be life-changing? You know, if it saves somebody losing their life savings, then I'm going to say, yeah. You know, is it going to give someone the opportunity to put money in their pocket that they may not have otherwise have had to do better for their family? Then I'm going to say that is in fact something that has benefit.
Yeah.
You could argue on the other side of the equation that it doesn't, it's just purely a commodity, but ultimately it's a matter of comfort. And are you comfortable? Can you go to sleep at night knowing how you invested your energy and your time and your resources during that day? And there's only one answer. I mean, it's either going to be yes or it's going to be no.
And you can't lie to yourself. I mean, you could try to lie to yourself, but like you said, you can physically, it will not land. I mean, I listen to you and everything that you're up to, and even with this technology play, et cetera. For me, you're driving what is Educator. You're just passionate about giving education to others. Even with liquor.com, if you go to look at it, it's just for people that are passionate about that world, it is giving them value and educating them.
So let's play that through, right? Yeah. So let's look at the what is your what equation. Now that's going to vary based on the endeavor, but the core gift is teaching.
Yeah. And is that your core gift?
I believe it is.
Yeah, very clear. So it's interesting because we were talking about all these things and still there's this thread, So for me, when you're looking at these other plays, I believe you're doing it from the intention of that, even though some are just commodity, et cetera, but it's still like you're creating this site knowing that it's going to make money. I mean, why would you do something that would not? That just doesn't make sense to me. But at least you're still using your gift and it's still aligned with everything that you are.
Yeah. And there's going to be people sitting there going right now, like, how is real estate development teaching? And the answer is it's not. I'm not going to sit here and say by any stretch of the imagination that I was teaching during those times, right? And that's why sometimes you go down a path and you recognize that it's just not the path that you want to stay on for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I mean, I was in the finance side of real estate and crushed it, had amazing, few years, et cetera. It just never fulfilled the soul. It was there to get a job done. Had the bank not closed, I probably would have still been there because golden handcuffs are a bitch. But everything happens for a reason. And I'm very clear that I'm now actually pursuing what I was put on earth to do. And how that transpires over the next 10, 15, 20 years, I mean, who the heck knows?
Yeah.
So I want to just ask you this final question. It's interesting because we actually kind of tiptoed around this, but I'm curious what your answer would be. The cliche of, I wish I knew then what I know now.
Mm-hmm.
So given that you've had all these life experiences, what would you have gone back and told yourself, or what do you wish you would have known?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that there is one specific thing that I would have said, other than, in looking back on my life, what I know is that you will most regret failing to act than taking action and realizing what those weak-minded people term as failure. Because, to me, failure is really just success with an unintended ending, right? And so, the truth is that what I would have told myself is to do more faster and to want to fail and to not be afraid to fail, because ultimately it's just a word, right? I mean, that's all it is. And in and of itself, it has no meaning. But, when you look back on your life and you have an opportunity to say, this is what I did, I was given a gift. Really, you just have to be able to know that you are the solution to someone else's problem. And they are literally waiting for you to show up in their life right now. And if you don't honor that gift and you don't share of yourself with those, I mean, you're not only doing a huge disservice to yourself, but also to future generations when you come right down to it. Because if you can help people get to where they want to go, they're going to make that world, in their circle a better place, which will make the world of others a better place, et cetera, and down the line. So, just know that there is someone out there right now who is literally waiting and praying for you to show up in their life. And when they are done praying, because you show up, then it's time for them to start paying. And you should be paid exceptionally well for what that gift is. So, yeah, man. But yeah, it's looking back, man. It's just you're gonna look back and you're gonna regret failing to take action every single time.
Yeah, Couldn't agree more. That was so beautifully said. From paying to praying. That's from praying to paying. I love that. I'm going to steal that one.
Yeah, nice. Please do.
So, Steve, people are going to want to know how to get in touch with you. People are going to want to know where they can grab this book.
Yeah. So, look, the main website is steveolsher.com. So, Steve, if you can't spell that, don't fucking come to my site. And then the last name is Olsher, Olsher. So, steveolsher.com. And then if you want a copy of What Is Your What, the New York Times best-selling book that we referenced earlier, you can go to whatisyourwhat.com/free, and you can actually grab a free copy of that. If you go on Amazon and you actually like the book after you've read it, will you just butcher the hell out of those first 3 "Did this help you?" responses? I got to tell you, I don't even know how many thousands of book sales I've lost because of these 2 ignorant fucks who just who beat the hell out of this book. And it's and you can never recover from that, man. It's just so we got to figure out how to get them off the main page. That's my goal.
It's unreal to me how much time people spend on providing negative input on stuff.
Yeah.
They make their life about it. I just keep thinking, how depressed is your life that's really what you spend your time on?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, one of the headlines or whatever is who will pick up the garbage. Basically, you shouldn't strive for anything, because if everyone strives for what it is that they were truly born to do, then who's going to pick up the garbage?
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Really?
Okay. Well, guys, go get that book and please let's beat these guys up.
Right. And check out reinventionradio.com. I do a lot of interviews on that and some good fun stuff there as well.
Awesome. Steve, super fun, super insightful, and keep doing what you're doing, brother.
Sounds good, man. You as well.
Have a great one.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Performance Enhancing Podcast. We've taken this pep talk and created a custom action guide so you know exactly what action steps to take now to grow your business. Just head over to SatoriPrime.com/podcast and download it for free. Also, please leave a comment and rate this podcast on iTunes. It'll help us get the word out. Thanks for listening. Now, go and implement. We'll see you next time.
Did you run through doors till you hit the floor? Did you read my eyes and my aching thoughts? Did you walk through walls till you had to grow?